Hey guys, it's Bryony. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video, which is very exciting. I'm doing a tour of Oren's nursery. So I'm currently filming the intro to this in my living room because I tried to film this in the hallway just outside Oren's door and it's very echoey out there, so I figured it'd be better to do this a little bit here. So before I redid Oren's room into the nursery it is now, it was originally my fostering room and it was kind of a bit of a mishmash of things that I changed over the years. I had one idea for a design originally and then I decided I didn't like that and various bits got changed over time, but never the whole room altogether. So by the time it got to where it was before we just redid it, it was a bit kind of like disjointed. It had this sort of funky wallpaper down one side, one wall was yellow, the rest of it was white, there were some hot air balloons on the side. Some of the wallpaper had been ripped off by one of my kids, so it really needed redoing, and I was really excited to get the whole thing redone, and we ended up finishing it, I think, pretty much by the time Oren was born. It was done during my pregnancy, and I'm quite glad for that now, because I would not want to have been doing all that work with a baby, and particularly with like letting the room air dry and everything with paint. But I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, and so I'm really excited to show you what his nursery looks like. I have tidied up a little bit in there before filming this video because I wanted it to look kind of like nicely laid out, but I have also tried to leave the majority of it how it is for daily use as well, to kind of give you a realistic view of what it looks like and also how it works practically. So let's get on into it. So I'm going to warn you straight ahead, the lighting in this room is terrible, which is great for when he's actually sleeping in here because it means it's quite dark, which is what you want in a nursery, but it does mean that it's quite tricky to film with the lighting and stuff, so apologies for that in advance. But anyway, when you first come into Oren's room, this is his door, and the first thing you see is on this wall a selection of his newborn photo shoot pictures. I had these done when I think he was around 11 days old and I absolutely loved them. Not gonna lie, did only just get these up on the wall today, mainly for this video, but I've been wanting to do it for ages, so I'm quite pleased I did film this today. And I just think that they are really cute. The only annoying thing is that because there's obviously like this glass in front of them, they kind of reflect the light a bit from the hallway, but other than that they look quite cool. And then we move into the main part of Oren's bedroom. Now Oren's nursery actually is a bit of an odd shape. There's sort of a little corridor that leads to the main part of the room. The room's sort of almost like a B shape, which makes it a little bit tricky to film, but hopefully you get some sense from this footage I'm showing you here. So I'm going to start in this corner of the room which has his built-in wardrobe and then work my way around clockwise, anti-clockwise, I think it's clockwise. Don't even know anymore. We're starting here, that's all you need to know. So this is where I store all of his current clothing, and also up the top here are some bags which actually have like all my spare fostering clothes. I've always tried to have at least a couple of outfits for every age range between kind of newborn and 6 years old, because that's the age group that I foster. And I still have them stored up there now, potentially for the future, but also because I actually have quite a lot of clothing, particularly for babies. I tend to foster quite a lot of babies, and so at the moment I've barely bought Oren any clothing since he's been born, because between like 0 to 6 months at least I'm pretty much sorted for clothing. The only thing I've had to do is buy a few summer outfits for his 3 to 6 month range, because I seem to have always fostered that age group in the winter. So when we had some really hot days recently, he needed some like lightweight rompers and some short sleeve vests, etc. So that's something I have bought, but most of his stuff is honestly just stuff that I've had from previous children that they've grown out of and that I've just kept in these bags. So in terms of how I organise his clothes that he's wearing, I've put them into this little hanging shelf thing, which I think I got off Amazon. It wasn't very expensive and I got it a long time ago. It's kind of hideous, the one I have here, but it does the job perfectly well. Basically, it hangs off the rail across the top here and just gives me a load of shelves I can put things in, and there's some order to it as well. So I have like his socks and his dribble bibs at the top, then I have his onesies, his trousers, his dungarees, vests, and then shorts and rompers down the bottom too. So I like having them this way rather than in drawers, because it means I can see the full range of clothing that he's got, and it basically allows me to just sort of grab what I think would be nice for the day, and also just lets me see what kind of clothing he's got, and then I can look at, oh, I think he might need some more of this or something like that. There are a few things hanging up at the moment in his cupboard, like this lovely little dungaree set that a friend of mine got me, and then some other bits for later on. And the bottom of this cupboard is an absolute state. It's basically where everything gets shoved. It's currently got the stairgate hiding in the back there because I don't need that just yet. A spare duvet for when I had a single bed in here, and I just keep that in case someone stays the night on a mattress in the living room. Everything just gets shoved in this cupboard, so we're just going to ignore the rest of that. The wardrobe does actually completely hide everything in it with this sliding mirror, which I actually quite like because it helps give the light into the room even more, but because I'm always in and out of this cupboard, I rarely ever have this closed, so to be honest, it's usually just open like this. And then the other thing in this corner is his washing basket. This is just a simple pop-up washing basket that I got off Amazon. I think I got it for my first foster children. I definitely didn't buy it specifically for this new design of the room. It just happens to kind of fit in, so I've left it and it does the job perfectly well. The other thing that's down in this corner at the moment is a night light, but that is not currently being used because Oren has now started sleeping in this room and I have a different one which I used for that. I was using that night light when Oren was sleeping in the room with me, and I would have this one on so that at night time when I got up to change him, it meant I didn't have to turn any lights on in here. I could just walk in here and that night light was bright enough for me to come and bring him onto the changing table and change him without turning any lights on, so it could kind of keep the room dark and not wake him up too much, but it was just enough that I could see. However, he has recently, like literally as of last week, started sleeping the night in here, so that is now turned off and he has another night light which I'll show you in a minute. So then we move on to this corner of the room, which is where his cot is, and the first thing you'll probably notice here is this lovely mural that's along the wall. This is actually a giant wall sticker which we had to stick individually up onto the wall. We got it off of Etsy. I absolutely love it. It's got this mountainscape with the birds and the clouds I just love. However, it was an absolute pain to put on. Sticking it on itself, like it took time to do it, but once it was on it looked lovely. However, they kept falling off, and so we've actually ended up having to stick a lot of these parts down with wallpaper paste because otherwise they were just going to peel off and fall off the wall. Even though we wiped it clean, it had been freshly painted and left to be completely dry for weeks before we did it. I don't know what it was about it, whether it's the sticker quality or just the wall or something else completely different, but these just did not want to stick on here, so we had to glue them on there with the wallpaper paste just to keep them there. But I do really love the effect, so I am glad that we ended up doing that. And then of course there is the actual furniture in this corner, which consists of his cot bed, which also has a changing table that goes on the top, and this chest of drawers that I bought secondhand off of Facebook Marketplace for I think like £25. They don't exactly match the wood tone of the cot, but it's close enough that I'm like, I can deal with it. This chest of drawers is what I use to store all of his cloth nappies, and actually this wet bag that's hanging off the front here, which I've debated taking off to make it look a bit more aesthetic, but that's not how I use it as a nursery, so I've left it in there for this video. This is where I basically store all of his used cloth nappies, so when I take them off here, I put them straight into that bag, and then that bag, when it's full, goes into the washing machine, which it looks like it might need to do quite soon. So starting off with the sort of changing area of this corner, which is down this end, I have this tabletop or cot-topped changing table, which I absolutely love, and I would say if you're looking to put a nursery together, I would recommend getting a cot with one of these on, because this is the perfect height to change a baby without breaking your back leaning over or leaning down, or having to change them sideways, which I don't like doing. I think it's much harder to do. This one is straight on. You can have them facing you, really easy to change them. They're at the right height so you don't bend your back over. Oh my goodness, life-changing. This changing top actually came with the cot, which I bought secondhand many moons ago, before I even started fostering actually. I think I bought it when I had a refugee mum with a baby staying here, and the baby got bigger and needed a cot, and I knew I was planning to foster in the future, so I thought I'd buy one, and I got it secondhand for I think £45 off eBay, and it has been brilliant. There's a few scratches and scrapes on it obviously from all the use, but I decided there was no point in buying a new one when I had Oren, because it's perfectly usable, it's solid wood, and it's very strong, and it's going to last him for years, because it's also a cot bed, so it will transform into a toddler bed as well when he needs it, and it's absolutely great. So buying secondhand furniture is definitely a good way to save some money if you are trying to build a nursery on a budget. You can get some brilliant buys for that. That is the changing top, and then next to it is where I have all of his nappy stuff. Now I do use reusable and disposable nappies. Generally speaking, I will use reusable nappies if we're staying at home, and I will use disposables if we're going out, but I have to be honest, I have been a bit lazy recently. If it's been a tricky day or whatever's going on, then I just use disposables because they are easier. So I have a little nappy caddy here, which I tend to put all of the disposable nappies and some of the reusables in as well. I have a pot of cheeky wipes, another thing I definitely recommend getting. They are brilliant for cleaning up dirty bottoms. They use one wipe, you can get everything off. It's just fabulous. I do also have disposable wipes too though, I do use them as well. And then next to it I just have the nappy bin, where obviously I put all the nappies. I also think that having a nappy bin is worth it in here, because I don't want to be carting the used nappies from the bedroom into the kitchen constantly, and also they get heavy and they would just be impossible to lift out of the bin, so having a nappy bin is one thing I also like to have. And then we move on to the cot section. So I currently have it set up on the higher setting because although Oren can now roll from his front to his back and his back to his front, he can't yet sit up or pull himself up, so it's fine to have him at this high level, and also it's much easier to put him down with when I'm putting him down for a nap or for sleep. And then in the bed I just have his kind of sleep sack here, which is what he goes to sleep in, both at bedtime and at nap time too. So I have been putting, or at least attempting to put Oren down in this bed for naps for quite a few weeks now, but only as of last week has he actually started to sleep here at night time. And that's because I noticed during some of his naps in the day, particularly in the morning, he's got quite good at doing a nap in the morning. He can do anything from half an hour, which really isn't long enough, up to like 2 hours, which is really what he needs. And I noticed like a week and a half ago that when I was putting him down for a nap in here, he was rolling onto his stomach. When I'd come in when he was waking up, he was on his tummy. And I thought, hang on a second, I think you actually prefer to sleep on your stomach. And now that he can roll kind of both ways quite easily, it's fine for him to do that. You still have to put them down on their back, but if they roll onto the tummy, they're fine to leave as long as they can move quite easily out of that, which he can now. And at the time we were going through that kind of 4-month sleep regression where he was waking up much more frequently. I had got to a point where he was only waking up like 1 time in the night for a feed, and he kind of regressed back to 2 or 3 times a night. And I just had a slight inkling that it might be something more to do with the kind of sleeping arrangements in his cot, because he was sleeping with me in my room in a bassinet, but the bassinet isn't big enough for him to roll in, whereas this cot is. So I thought, well, I'll try him in here, and this cot is too big to put in my bedroom, so he was only going to be able to sleep in here in it. So I tried him in here for a night, and he slept so much better because he could roll all the ways he wanted to. He does kind of like a tour of the cot, he moves around quite a bit. So now that he's in this bigger cot, he's much happier. So as of last week, we are now sleeping in here in this room, which is sooner than I thought he would be, but he's a much happier baby for it, and he's sleeping much better, so I'm a much happier mummy for it too. Before I move on to the next corner of the room, I did just want to take a moment to appreciate these gorgeous curtains. They have this lovely kind of rainbow hot air balloon print on them, and these were actually made by my mum because we couldn't find any nice curtains to put in this room. It had a blind on it before, and I kind of wanted to change from a blind to a set of curtains because some of my foster kids were pulling on the blinds and playing with them, and I thought curtains might be a little bit better for that. But there were so few like nice prints, and the ones that were nice cost an absolute fortune. But luckily both my mum and I can sew, and so she made these for him, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. And I just love that there's something in his room that's made by his granny for him. So moving on into this corner, this is currently the sort of feeding nook area. All the furniture, by the way, I think in this room is secondhand, and this nursing chair is no exception to that. I got this again years ago, I think with one of my first foster babies, secondhand off Facebook Marketplace, I think for about £20. It was absolutely filthy. I stripped all the covers off, put them in the wash, and have sprayed this stool with as much like Vanish furniture spray as I possibly could. It is still a bit like funny looking in places, but it's perfectly clean and it does the job absolutely fine. Not the most aesthetically pleasing nursing chair, but it's so comfortable that I honestly don't care. This is where I will feed Oren to sleep, usually before nap time and bedtime, and then also in the night when he wakes up, this is where I'll also come and feed him too. It's really comfy, it's great. However, I have just remembered I need to spray the hinges with some silicone spray because it is a little bit squeaky, but that's totally fixable. And then we get to this side of the room, which basically is just the whole wall between the window and the door, and the stuff that's here is a little bit more random. So to start with, there is this high shelf that's up here. The shelf is deliberately high because this is where I like to put things that I want out of reach of the kids. It was here when I was fostering as well, and I just kept it because it fitted in with the room. So currently on this shelf I have this gorgeous little handmade mobile which has these hot air balloons on it. The original theme that I had for this room, I think when I first did it, was sort of hot air balloons. Unfortunately they've sort of fitted in with the theme that I've given it now, with like the mountainscape and the clouds and everything. Hot air balloons still kind of fit into that, but I love this little mobile. I don't have a mobile holder to put it over the bed, and also honestly I don't think Oren would pay any attention to it, so I've just sort of put it here for decor. And then on the actual shelf itself I currently have his little camera for the baby monitor, which looks over at the cot so I can keep an eye on him while he's having his naps or sleeping in here. Next to that I have his night light slash white noise machine, which honestly one of the best investments that I have made so far. It's the Mum Cozy one, which is off Amazon, which to be honest is kind of like a knockoff of the Hatch. It's about half the price of the Hatch, but it does everything I need it to do. I basically wanted a white noise machine slash nightlight that was controllable from my phone, because there were a few times, particularly when I was in feeding him in my room, where Oren would be feeding and I'd had the nightlight on and I was like, hang on a second, I really want to turn this brightness down a little bit so that he can kind of go off to sleep, but it was out of reach from my arm. But I always had my phone in my hand because that's kind of what I used to distract myself to keep myself awake at night. And so I thought if I had a nightlight that was controllable from my phone, then I would always be able to control the light level in the room. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to get this, and also because I knew when he did move into here, when he was sleeping in my room, I had the fan on, but there isn't a fan in this room, so he was going to need a white noise machine too. So I combined the two together and bought this one, and honestly, it has been great. So there is particular noises that he likes in which he'll fall asleep to more easily, and so I've turned them on, and then in the night when he wakes up and wants a feed, I just come in, use my phone to turn on that nightlight, and then as he falls asleep on me, I turn it down, and then when I leave I can turn it off, and also I can adjust how loud the white noise is as well. So it's brilliant. And then finally on this shelf I currently have this little crocheted sperm, which was a little bit of a gag gift from my mum for Mother's Day. I had seen these and I think I must have mentioned it to her and like kind of jokingly said that I wanted one, and somehow she managed to get her hands on one for me, probably off Etsy, which I think is just hysterical. So it currently lives on this little shelf up there. It does make me laugh every time I see this and somebody's like, are you going to tell Oren about him being donor conceived? And I'm like, there's literally a crocheted sperm in his room. So his name's Simon, by the way. And then we get to the messy side of the room. So currently here I have a little bin, which is where I put all the empty nappy bags in. Then there's currently these massive storage bags full of, this is basically like climbing equipment. It's this stuff called Quadro, which you can use to build climbing frames in different shapes and sizes. Because I have a shared garden, I'm not allowed to have like a permanently fixed climbing frame or structure out there, but this stuff you can build and it can be moved around, so it's fine to have out there. I've used it before with foster children, they've loved it. Once Oren gets a little bit more mobile and starts kind of crawling and climbing on things, I will probably start making like the baby structure that they have. But for the time being, there's not a lot of storage space in my flat, so it's just kind of being stored here, which looks hideous, but you know, it's out the way. And then I also have 3 packets of disposable nappies, which are all currently the wrong size for him. These are all size 3s in various brands. But he's not quite in size 3 just yet. He is still a size 2. I think he's getting close to the size 3 in the Sainsbury's though, so we'll see. But I keep buying them optimistically thinking, oh, maybe he'll fit this size 3, and it's like, nope, he's still size 2. And then we get to the famous Ikea Calyx shelving unit. This I got for free from a friend who was trying to get rid of it from some storage, and I was like, I will have that, thank you. I just added on these 2 little doors to the top shelving unit, and then there are 3 sets of storage boxes going down. Currently we have in this top shelf, this is where all the clean muslins are when I need to grab a new one. This is very messy because it has all of the clothes that he is currently growing out of that I need to put away when I next bring down the bags. This shelf here has all the spare bedding for the cot and also for the bassinet, which he's currently not sleeping in, but I haven't put away just yet in case. This drawer has more spare bedding and things in there. Then further down there's like some sleep sacks that he sleeps in, and then we get to, oh, this is extra clothing that he's not yet grown into, but he will do soon. Actually, there appear to be 2 boxes of clothes he's yet to grow into, so maybe I should amalgamate them. And then there's currently 1 empty box down there, which I'm not sure what I'll do with yet. And then finally, we're back where we started, in this corner. So the first thing on this side is a bookshelf. This currently is a very full bookshelf that I need to sort out because a lot of these books will not be appropriate for him for quite some time. He does enjoy reading with me actually now, but we're very much in the board book phase. Anything with paper would just get ripped. And then over here, I just have a little shelf which currently has some coats and things hanging off it, and then actually this little onesie here, I love it to pieces, but he's definitely too big for this now. This is his little 0 to 3 month onesie. It's so soft. It's too warm for it now as well, but I'm really sad he's grown out of this because this is one of the few things I did buy for him new when I was pregnant, and it's just so soft and gorgeous. And I wish I bought it in a bigger size, but there you go. And then finally we have this little corner shelf over here. It doesn't quite fit nicely against the wall because there's some panelling along the bottom, but it's really useful, and it currently has just some woolen hats still on there, which again, he's probably grown out of by now, but he won't need woolen hats until at least autumn time this year, and well, unless we have a cold spell in the summer, who knows, climate change. But there's no point buying him anything new for now, so I've just left them there just in case we have a day where it decides to snow. You never know with the UK. So yeah, that is Oren's nursery. I hope you enjoyed this tour and seeing a little bit about how I've set up his room and all the stuff I have here. Like I said, most of the stuff is secondhand and it's perfectly fine. I'm not super worried about the aesthetics of it, and honestly a nursery just needs to be practical above everything else. But let me know if there's anything in particular you liked about this nursery, anything in particular that you liked having in your nursery. Really curious to see. Be sure to leave a comment down below, and thank you so much for watching guys. Do please subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye everyone, have a great day.